We're on a little walk to the Primitive Methodist chapel for coffee and a guided tour of the renovations into a private house. I have some leftover Christmas cake to share. I just have to do this gate. And it's a great opportunity for me. I've chosen to walk. It's only a couple of miles instead of going in the car because, of course, you get to know your neighbourhood much more intimately on foot. And with such a lovely, crisp, frosty Sunday morning, I couldn't resist the walk. I'm quite warm now, actually. I've got my long johns on. You'll be familiar with the expression, careful what you wish for. Well, you will have seen me walking like this with this bobble hat in a slightly different climate just 9 months ago in northern Spain on the Camino. And in at least one of those short videos, check them out, I sort of go public, if you like, on this long-held desire to move to a tiny house. And now I have. And I've been in the tiny house now for a month. And it's true to say I was very naive. I'm a bit out of breath, as you can tell. I was very naive about practical matters such as power and water, sewage, hot water, that sort of thing. And it's pretty much consumed my attention this past couple of months after the tiny house arrived. Actually, I think the tiny house arrived in November. So it's been on site for 2 months and I'm only just surfacing really in the brighter moments of quiet at my desk doing my video editing or writing. I look out at the fantastic view over the Dale and count my blessings in every respect. And I made the choice, but I honestly had very little idea of what a profound change it would be to my life and my lifestyle, both practically and psychologically. Because now I am essentially, I say off-grid, but it's not really, I'm cheating. I've got both power and water. Still no hot water, but I am pretty much self-contained, and now I only have 2 priorities in my day-to-day life in the tiny house: logs and water. And I have run out of firelighters, kindling and logs this morning. The tiny house is nice and cozy. I had porridge and honey, but when I get back I'm going to have to go to the sort of country store and replenish my stock of firelighters, kindling and logs. And I'll tell you in another video, but here's a spoiler alert. I can tell you that in my first month it cost me £155 for my firelighters, kindling and logs, which is a surprise, more than I imagined. But then I hadn't done my research, had I? So it's actually not the great saving on gas and electricity bills compared to summer cottage that I fondly imagined, but that's okay. Local post box. Take the gloves off. I'm really working up a bit of a sweat now. I've also, as well as the Christmas cake, I've also got my slippers. I thought it would be thoughtful to make sure that I didn't tramp anything into his chapel, which is frankly a building site, but there we go. So coming back to expectations and realizations, it's an interesting, quite provocative saying, isn't it? Careful what you wish for. So I wished for a tiny house, and I have a tiny house. I live in a tiny house. I am a tiny house man. And there's a sort of pregnant pause, or a gasp almost, of realization after some of the practical difficulties were ironed out, and I've got used to the important things in the tiny house, like logs and water. A very important learning is it's the tiny house that dictates the tempo of my life now, not me, and that's very refreshing. So it's quite simple. In the morning, we've got some dirty sheep in the background here. They should roll in the frost, clean themselves up a bit, if you ask me. First thing in the morning, put the kettle on for a first cup of tea. Clean out the ashes, very fine ashes, from the stove from the night before. Save them in a bag for the toilet to put on the solid poo waste, which neutralises it, and it doesn't smell at all. I'm sure you wanted to know that. I have just returned my high quality Shanks manure to the forest glade only yesterday. Oh my goodness, look at this. Look at this. Absolutely gorgeous. So glad I walked and left the car behind. Although I am I'm a bit late for coffee at 11, but that's okay. So, are you with me? It was a bit rambling, but that's okay. Claire Balding does rambling, and I find that very entertaining. Oh gosh, how many ponies or horses have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ponies in a field. Horse lovers have a very strong bond with their animals, I know. I've never been a horsey person. Don't know why, probably because I grew up in the city. So it's the tiny house that dictates the tempo of my life now. So yes, we got as far as saving the ashes from the fire. Then it's light the fire, and I've learned a new way of lighting the fire. Now, when you were on scout camp or guide camp, or when you were camping, you probably lit a fire the way I did. until recently, which is you put some fine kindling on the bottom. I'm sorry I am interrupting, aren't I? But look at this rather splendid aluminium or metal steel. I think it's a pizza oven. It's a pizza oven, it's not just a barbecue. You wouldn't see that from the car. So that's what we would do. Twigs and dry stuff in the bottom, then thicker twigs, then maybe a couple of broken small branches. Yes, you know. And so you light it from the bottom. Perfectly sensible. And it creates smoke. More smoke than heat at first. Well, try this. You make a sort of a Jenga tower of 4 or 6 kindling sticks. Make a sort of platform like they burn the dead on the banks of the Ganges on the Ghats. And so lay a firelighter, either natural or chemical, on that. Only takes a little one. And lay couple more kindling sticks on that. And then a heavier log on top. And you light it from the top, well, wherever the firelighter is, of course. Well, surprise, surprise, it not only burns up with less smoke, it burns down. How lovely is that? I'm just making a video. I'll be in for cough. Put the kettle on. I've got cake. So, this is going to be very exciting. This, I can tell now. I've just smelt the perfume of this rather attractive blonde woman who's just come for coffee as well. We'll see. I digress. And the heat of the firelighter, it goes down as well as up. So when you light a fire from the base, it's like half the heat is lost. You lose half the intensity of the starter. So it gets hot much more quickly with the kindling underneath it as well, and it's much quicker to put a larger log on. Anyway, Phil's new tips and tricks of tiny house living. So the tempo of the tiny house is much more freeing of both the mind and the body, because you just do what needs to be done from moment to moment, a bit like reaching out for the next bar on a monkey puzzle tree, whatever it's called, in a playground, you know, hand over hand, overhead. It's a bit like that. So that's one of my observations. But the other is careful what you wish for. There is a sense of, I talked about a sort of a pregnant pause, when it dawns on you that, oh, what happens now? I am actually living exactly where I wanted to, in a tiny house, in a fabulous setting, able to edit videos like this and write. Brilliant. But for me, it won't apply to you because you're more grounded and centered than me. Panic sets in. And I'm going to swear now. What the fuck do you do next after everything is sorted? I might bleep that out. And it reminds me that when my son was 19, I think, he had the choice of going to uni, of course, like everybody else. But he really wanted to be a ski bum. And he asked me about it, bless him. And I said, you go and be the best ski bum you can possibly be. He went to Whistler for 2 seasons, his favourite ski resort. He can ski faster backwards than I can ski forwards. He did that helicopter wilderness ski. You have to yomp out of a log cabin in the middle of nowhere. Extraordinary. When he got back home, he said, "Dad, can I have a word?" I said, "Yes, son." "What is it?" He said, "What do you do?" He was 21 at this time, and not. What do you do when you've done everything you wanted to do in life at 21? I said, "Do more of it, or do something else that fires your imagination." So we did a little visualization. I remember, I think in the bottom of the garden on the Temenos, and I encouraged him to imagine his ideal working situation, which was in a nice IT environment. And now he's the head of IT at the Royal Academy of Music in London, and he loves it. He loves his London life, and he loves his job, his work, technology. So, what's your careful what you wish for? There's that expression, isn't there? Wherever you go, there you are. And this is where I'm going right now, which is, I don't know if you can see it. Yes, it's at the top. I'll just have to do that to see it. Primitive Methodist. Just in case you didn't know, it's primitive. Well, we will see inside. Simon is playing a blinder, converting it to a less than primitive, luxurious home. See you in a bit.